You might think that you know all there is to know about 1979's Amityville Horror, but did you know that this film terrified adults way more than their children? Stick with me on this because I'm about to explain why. The Amityville Horror is, of course, the true story of the Lutz family who've just purchased the worst house on the best street. Why is it the worst house on the best street? Well, it isn't the worst house on the best street because it's small or needs a knockdown rebuild. It is the worst house on the best street because it is the site of the Ronald DeFeo family massacre in 1974. So, as some of you may know, Ronald did of course kill his entire family with a rifle, and nobody in the street heard a thing. Nobody heard a single shot, so it was all quite mysterious. And the other reason it's the worst house on the best street is it's also apparently home to a demonic entity or entities. Now, just a year after the murder in 1975, the Lutz family are being shown around the property by a local real estate agent. The Lutz family are just starting out, a couple of young parents with 3 young kids, and ordinarily a property on Ocean Avenue would be well beyond the means of a family like the Lutzes. These houses at the time were selling for around $120,000, which in today's money would probably be worth over $1 million with inflation and all the rest of it. But what with all the murders and such, decreasing the value like the valet body odour car in Seinfeld, this one's just within reach for them at $80,000. I know what you're thinking, what a bargain, what a steal. I'd live in Satan himself's house for $80,000. And George and Kathy Lutz come to a similar conclusion. They talk it over with the kids. Even at $80,000, it's going to be a real stretch on the family budget with 3 kids, a dog, and a bunch of bills. But they should just be able to barely squeak by getting financing from the bank. So I think you know where I'm going with all of this and why the Amityville Horror from 1979 is more terrifying for adults than children. The Amityville Horror is at its heart a horror film about a money pit, about financial stress, financial woes, and those are the overarching themes of the movie. There are ghosts and demons and so forth, but all of these are not really terrifying in the least compared to all of the rest of the factors that the Lutzes find when they move into Ocean Avenue. So this family really is financially at breaking point. They've moved into a money pit. It needs a lot of work, and George is having troubles with work as well. And pretty much every one of the most horrifying scenes in this film is financially themed. There's one scene involving, I believe, George's brother-in-law from memory, and George's brother-in-law has to give $10,000 cash to the caterers. He gives it to George for safekeeping because George is the best man. They're getting changed at the house before the wedding. And as you may guess, the caterer's money goes missing inexplicably from George's pocket. So paranormally missing, and the family turns the house upside down. They end up having to give the caterers a cheque for $10,000. And for any adult watching, it is one of the more terrifying scenes of the movie, more terrifying than a disembodied pig ghost floating outside the window or the black ooze floating down the walls. The black ooze slimily seeping down the walls, although that's terrifying in its own right due to the maintenance factors. There's plumbing issues in this movie, you name it. The house is falling apart, there's doorknobs falling apart, there's faulty windows, defective this, that and everything. And all of these things, in my opinion, are far more terrifying than the demonic entities of the Amityville Horror. So quite an interesting movie in that regard. It did nothing for me as a child because it didn't really resonate with me, but that was before I was a grown-up with a mortgage and grown-up bills to pay, and I'm sure that you'd find it a very different movie if you were to revisit it right now as an adult, either with a mortgage or paying rent or living through the joyous cost of living crisis of 2025. And it is quite an interesting movie in that regard. There are a lot of other parallels with home ownership. A lot of their friends start avoiding them. They feel uncomfortable in the house. And anyone that's purchased a property before, you'll find this phenomenon occasionally. Friends that you thought were friends will kind of drift away and they do feel uncomfortable coming to visit. probably because they're not at that point in their lives, or for whatever reason can't relate anymore to you. And those themes are in here as well. So the Amityville Horror, in essence, is a cautionary tale, I guess, a horror movie for homeowners. It's a bit of a terrifying story for homeowners. This one would make a fantastic double bill with the Money Pit. Sorry, jumping over my words there. It'd make a fantastic double bill with the Money Pit, starring Tom Hanks, and those would make for quite a horrifying and relatable experience for homeowners, especially in 2025 when most homeowners are barely covering the mortgage and the bills. So I'd highly recommend Amityville Horror from 1979. It is one of the classic horror movies. The book by Jay Anson is a lot better, however, and well worth reading. It doesn't touch on the Money Pit type themes as heavily as the film does, but it does obviously touch on those themes. And this one really captured the zeitgeist, the public consciousness at the time. Was a big hit, and it is unquestionably part of popular culture, the Amityville Horror. I'll leave a few links below as well, so I'll leave a link to the trailer, I'll leave a link to where you can see the Amityville Horror as well in the description below, and I'll also leave a link to a very interesting coast-to-coast interview with George Knapp, where he interviews George Lutz about the goings-on in the house. So that's quite a atmospheric eye-opener and a great companion piece to the film. And so the Amityville Horror, it is very much a horror movie for adults. If you think you're feeling pretty jaded, you're too old for these things, then this is definitely one to check out. And it won't affect the kiddies a great deal. You can probably safely watch the Amityville Horror with the kiddies, because chances are they probably won't be affected as much as you will if they aren't paying adult bills yet. So if you have any thoughts on Amityville Horror, by all means let us know in the comments. If you're enjoying this content, please like, share and subscribe, and I hope to join you next time on Fulci Metal Jacket right here.